thy bond once more, thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon, wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
I cannot remember the last time I heard the Ballad of the Endless Spring performed. Now there's a ditty worthy of a knee slap. I must be careful to not overindulge tonight, lest I lose control and slip into bear form.
I'm glad for it. For this.
Starting to wonder if you'd show up. Honestly, so have I. Oh, come here, will you? It's been forever. You feel a little more substantial than before. Less camping and scrounging off the land, I take it. I suppose I do, don't I? I'm glad you seem well. Truly. I had no doubt, but I'm glad to hear you say it all the same. Wandering, mostly. The adventuring life is almost a tonic when you're not constantly threatened by brain monsters and cultists. I can finally see the world beyond the cloister. One of my first stops was the House of the Moon in Waterdeep. It's the largest temple of Selûne in existence. It seemed like the perfect spot to reflect on my parents, on where they came from. And where I came from too, I suppose. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Me, of all people, in the lair of the Moon Witch herself. Gods, your truest act of heroism was putting up with all that char and drivel I was spouting for so long. Oh, I know they are. I can still sense them, I think. And one day we'll be reunited. I don't know. Which is just the way I like it just now. Perhaps I'll just stick a pin in a map and see what I find, or head to the docks in the morning and scrounge a berth to find somewhere new. I'd like to see the islands, maybe, or head south to Arm. I heard there's an enclave of werecats that hunt the followers of dark gods by moonlight. I'd love to see if there's any truth to that. But enough about me. What have you been up to? Don't be a stranger. I've missed wine. Had to resort to making my own cider recently, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong. You might be onto something there, though the name might need work. Somehow it sounds rude, even though I know otherwise. Always. Careful. I might not let go one of these times. Don't be a stranger.
Though I'm going
going to get very hungry very soon.
Well met. I am a magical projection of Gale of Waterdeep. And if you see this manifestation, that means I have prematurely perished. Alas, on this occasion I appear to have been erased from this plane in both soul and substance. So the usual protocol for revivification cannot be followed. I am, however, available for the duration of this spell to assist with the tying of any loose ends related to my recent departure from mortality. As I said, I am merely a projection of Gale. A highly accomplished one, reflecting my creator's flair for such magic, but in no way am I the great wizard himself. He is gone. The good news is I am here precisely to assist in cushioning that heaviest of blows. I have been entrusted with the delivery of a letter to be given to one who cared most for me in life. I hope these words do something to ease the tragedy of my untimely and honestly, quite unexpected passing. With that, I'm afraid my spell is waning. Is there anything else you need of me before I blink out of existence? How fortunate I was to know someone like you.
Rather warmer down south than it is in Waterdeep.
Good song, good company, good wine. I wish it could last forever.
Oh, hello, darling. I was hoping to see you. Withers informed me about this little get-together, and I thought I'd show my whiskers. I can almost feel Gale here. Among his friends. In you. Some part of him remains, doesn't it? A crackling in the air, isn't it? That flare of magic and mischief. Oh, what I wouldn't give to snuggle up on his lap one more time. Just once would do. Oh, I couldn't possibly. Unless, well, perhaps it's not a terrible idea. Gale would be quite pleased to know we've made friends, wouldn't he? Perhaps you'd be willing to come meet Gale's mother sometime? She misses him so. And I know it would do her heart a world of good to discuss her son with someone who knew him as he was. Jolly good. I'll tell Mrs. Dekarios to be expecting you. Oh, she'll be delighted. Things just haven't been the same without himself cluttering up the place. Enjoy your party, dear. I've heard you quite deserve a celebration. But I wish he were here.
Mustn't think about any of the local breaks.
If 2 months, Orpheus trained me in the ways of the comet. For 2 more, I skewered Kithraki bellies. And for 2 more yet, I traveled through Limbo. I never imagined we'd be standing toe-to-toe on this day, in this place. Nothing but allies, I always told myself. A necessary partnership. But in spite of every strained word, every barbed glance, seeing you brings me even more pleasure than taking a Royal Inquisitor's head. It's nice to hear it. It has taken all of Orpheus's efforts to conjure my projection, and all of mine to convince him to let me come. Worth it, I'd say. I miss this place. This... Fey Run. We've spilled blood, gained a foothold in the astral, but still we need allies. And one beyond reckoning has made itself known. Zerith Minyaragith. Not a what, but a who. The immortal god king of the Githzerai. An exiled people. Once kin with mine, until the madness of civil war ripped our one sky into 2. Algish sent word of the rebellion to Minyaragith through the cosmos. He's agreed to parley. It's fallen to me to secure an alliance. I was as surprised as anyone when Orpheus spoke the order. My blade is keen as ever, but it was you who showed me that a proper victory doesn't always require a razor-sharp edge. Sometimes, a sincere plea is more persuasive than a dagger against the neck. Minyaragith is an ascetic. He reached out in good faith. This is his way. It is in this spirit that I must meet him. And if he refuses, I carry on. Gravity pulls me in but one direction. I am a warrior of the comet. I will not rest until I burn Vlaakith's bones to ash and smash her phylactery to pieces. My people will be free. But you've heard that refrain before. Zealous, bossy, insistent. All part and parcel of my undeniable charm. Soon, when the comet has risen, when the Lich Queen has crumbled to dust, I miss this place. More to the point, I miss you. I wouldn't even deny it with Vlaakith's vorpal blade at my neck. Though, I'd rather it not come to that. Now go. Mingle a bit. That's the word, right? Mingle. I'll be back one day. The Overgod himself couldn't keep me away.
First in my heart. Time to press ahead.
And how have our friends fared without us? I suppose going through the kind of journey we did will leave its mark. And not everyone can be as lucky as we've been. I would not want it any other way. I do feel a little bad keeping you all to myself. After all, I get to see you every night. Go on, go mingle. Enjoy your time with the others. Bless them with your presence. I'll be here when you're ready. I'll always be here, my love.
mustn't think about any of the local brains.
It may just...
Ah, soldier. How glad I am to see you again. I'd started to wonder if I ever would. I'm sorry I haven't reached out. I guess I wasn't sure what you'd make of me. I've changed so much. But then again, you have too. Don't I know it? It went so fast, didn't it? One moment we were on the Nautinoid, the next we were here. I'd ask you what you'd been up to for 6 whole months, but then I'd have to reciprocate. And I'm not sure you're ready for the truth. Let us test that theory. Do you remember how my favorite food used to be mutton chops? I'm now far more interested in, well, brains. I thought I was good at cracking skulls before. Now I've got it down to something of a science. Or maybe more of a religion. I've made arrangements with a healer in the city. When a patient is beyond saving, but still able to speak for themselves, they're offered a choice. They can go as nature intends to take them, or when they're ready, when their goodbyes have been said, their affairs settled, and all that awaits them is pain, I relieve them. When I consume their brains, I am nourished by much more than the physical nutrition. Their memories, from birth to death, become part of me. I've lived hundreds of childhoods, first loves, marriages, feuds and friendships. I remember them all. And in this way, we all live on together. Thanks, soldier. It feels that way too. It's been wonderful to see you again. Reminds me of old times around the campfire. We used to think becoming a mind flayer was a fate worse than death. I wouldn't trade my life, this life, for anything. Funny how things change, isn't it? Enjoy the night, my friend. I know I will.
Perhaps the bard knows some of my favorites. Unless my taste in music is too antique, of course.
Well now, you can make yourself presentable when you have a mind to. Ah, how nice to be understood again. I have spent the past months bickering with builders and bankers, all to restore the city exactly as it was. Same twisting alleys for purse pickers. Same wooden buildings ready to get burnt by next year's dragon. Same cisterns overflowing. Huh. Baldurians simply get on with it. Stubbornness, civic spirit, plain stupidity. Perhaps all three, but nothing I will sniff at any longer. harpers, have come from half the world over to lend aid. Farmers, masons, healers. My own son, George, has been wooed to their ranks. Already he plans crop cycles in Worm's Crossing. Not so for my daughter. Ryan's rejoined the Flaming Fist. Temporarily, you understand. To organize the craftsmen. Though she spends more time locking up comrades for pocketing aid funds. They might learn a thing or two, if they don't expel her. Again. There is still much to do. People to house. A Harper network to rebuild. I may have little love for this city, but so long as my family chooses to serve it, I can do no less. For all your travels, I hope you have arrived where you want to be. Home. Whatever that means to you. Ah, sentiment. With the greatest affection, I can think of better ways to sour our stomachs. I must inspect the refreshments. You'll never know. Some ne'er-do-well might have tampered with the wine.
Amicus animalis.
Friend? Friend! You came! Big Brother Scratch, too! Happy. Yes. Miss this. More. Yes. Miss this. More. Yes. Big. But Scratch is smart. Teaches me many things. Like Big Brother. Withers? No. You smell very delicious. Follow smell, find you. Lots. Make friends with a turtle, a cat, a kraken. Kraken eats my cat friend, so I bite, kill. With shiny clothes, I am strong. Tired now. Want sleep. Want cave. Bear man? He is big, but not bigger than me. I like him. I go to him.
Aha! You see, Boo? I told you our friend was near.
Boo! We are not dreaming. It is our old friend. Oh, and it is good to be seen. Oh, after so many days down in the dark,
Minsk began to wonder if he was some blind bug who had only dreamed himself to be large and bulksome. You will forgive the aroma, I hope. We were not expecting the Dusty One to open a portal to our very cell. Boo had a moment to lick himself clean, but there is a little too much of Minsk to cover. Minsk and Boo have been helping, of course. We guard the streets, while Jaheira is occupied with harperish matters. The Zentarum rule the city's underbelly, so Minsk and Boo went to give them a tickle. There were harsh words, battle cries, some manner of head wound. We awoke in a Zentish cell, awaiting trial by noble combat. Execution, says Boo, though I am not sure of the difference. It is a long walk to the gallows, and Minsk still has his fists, no? In ample time indeed. So long as the Bone Mage returns us to our cell by dawn, Boo would not be late to the bloodshed. But leave such matters for the morn. Tonight is for celebration and the telling of tales. How have you filled your days since we tore this sticky tyrant from the sky? A powerful pairing. If love cannot cure a vampire, what can? Oh, Boo suggests a variety of arcane remedies, but love is the most potent, and by far the easiest to pronounce. There is much merriment to be made before the night is done. Go, and greet the others. Minsk shall make himself presentable. Ah, this pond shall do nicely, Boo, though I see no soap. So you shall have to blow the bubbles for me.
There you are. I was hoping you'd make your way over.
What a lovely... Your relief. Your projection holds. It took a dozen Gish's talents, a few stolen psi crystals, and 2 10 days of effort to conjure it. You can touch, taste, and talk. But your fleshy body is in limbo, the home of the mystical Githzerai. Once, the Githzerai were one with the Githyanki, until bloody civil war severed the Gith species. The Githzerai god king, Menyar Ag-Gith, sent word through the cosmos. He knows of your rebellion, and he's agreed to parley. Should the Githzerai join you, you could vanquish Vlaakith in a red dragon's blink.
What's the word on the rebellion? I presume you've cracked open more Kithraki heads than you could possibly count. Then you did keep count. I should have known you would. I'm afraid since we last met, my corpse count remains a paltry 0. Unless you count the boars I felled on ducal hunts. Rebuilding a city requires a politic mind. A sharp soldering blade, not so much. Bargains must be made. Coin must change hands. Tongues must be held in check. Still, I make the decisions I see fit. The ones I think will restore the city to glory. I serve only Baldur's Gate, not a devil of the first hell. I've had more than a few challenges, given the horns sprouting from my head. The people know me as one of the champions who saved their beloved city. They know Ravengard blood flows through my veins. The patriarchs, the aristocracy, the councils of Waterdeep and Arm, their arms aren't so wide open. Still, there's no friction that can't be greased with a sly promise or a proposition. Disbanded, to be formed anew. I don't expect a soldier or street sweeper to see through the schemes of a tyrant like Gortash. But the city's lords and ladies were all too eager to abandon their oaths and bend the knee. Liara Porter is now Grand Duke of the Wilds, Sickle of Chult. Cordula Eltan is the Duke of the Sea Tower, a legacy reborn. And I am Will Ravengard, Grand Duke of the Worm, Heart of the Gate. We will yet be four. Until such time and after, we will enact the will of the People's Parliament. Baldur's Gate is nothing without its citizens, both in the upper and lower. Our duty is to them, and only them. The jewel of the coast will shine ever bright, welcoming the weak and the weary from wherever they hail. We are building new housing, not just shanties, but homes where families can rest their heads, plant gardens, pursue happiness. Amazing what can be done when Parliament and the Council pressure the upper city elites to open their coffers. I'm sure the Silver Shields can make do without a few more jeweled crowns. I've entrusted the Fist to Cordula Eltan. Who better than a descendant of its founder to guide them? Given the atrocities the Fist committed under Gortash, I expected her to thrash every last one. But she didn't do so much as scold them. Bane's Chosen primed the Fist for a war they weren't meant to win. He convinced them there was an assassin hiding in every shadow, that cruelty was the correct answer to crisis. With a few exceptions, Eltan's pardoned every last Fist. Gortash led the parched Fist to Bane's bloody well. I refused to punish the thirsty for drinking from it. Her words, not mine. Like my father, she believes in the bow and the blade. But she's teaching the Fist a new lesson. Valor is found not in the wounds you inflict, but in the lives that you have bettered. May they all take it to heart. Of course. I've missed you too. The rush of battles we fought, the heart-to-hearts, the nights around the fire. The comfort of knowing I didn't face the unknown alone. If I had to do it all over again, and I'd rather not, to be clear, I can't imagine not having you at my side. Never. The hexes and eldritch blasts, losing them took getting used to. They left behind a cold abyss where fire once raged. So I stoked a new one. Now the burning comes from within me. Not from the depths of Avernus. Go on, the night's young. You shouldn't waste a moment of it. Or waste a single drop of wine for that matter. I plan on downing half a bottle myself. Oops, did I say half a bottle? I meant half a dozen. Beautiful fate. Grander than any of the Patriarch's dreary banquets.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more. Just as I hoped they would, more like. The Oak Father has been kind to me this past while. Yet I cannot forget the bond we all forged together. It is one that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day. I always do. Should I ever decline, assume a doppelganger has taken my place. That was more than worth the wait. Apologies. You can probably understand my eagerness. I shall be as gentle as a feather next time. Now, We have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing. Please, spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see. My charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake. I am all ears, though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image. You have kept yourself busy. I expected no less, in truth. I shall be able to keep the children enthralled for a few more nights yet, thanks to you. And should you wish to retell of your exploits in person, well, I shall not object to a night off. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else. On occasion, but I prefer not to interfere. Francesca of the High Forest is Archdruid now, and by all accounts, she has proven to be a steady and wise influence. Even Korga may yet find true balance, thanks to her influence. Do you truly even need to ask? Of course! Who could not open their home to a befeathered hero of Baldur's Gate? Ah, and I did promise the children I would bring them back a surprise. Oh, imagine their faces. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together. It is, truly, though a more complex, evolving beast than I could ever have anticipated. I spoke often of balance before. Only now do I realize the balance is no simple, fixed thing. We welcome folk from all walks of life. Anyone who wishes for a new start. Naturally, it can be chaotic at times, but it is a thrilling sort of chaos. It thrives in ways I could never have dreamed of. As am I. I may age more slowly than most, but I do believe I've gained some new laughter lines of late. Quite often. They come and go as they please. But with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods as far as I'm concerned. I spend half my days in ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago.
I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be. Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this. Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company. Just a token to remember me by. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on. Enjoy the festivities. We can speak again later.
But that will fit in my pack.
Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source
Perhaps
these?
the bard knows some of my
God,
favorites.
I remember
Unless
one
my taste
evening
in
when we had to
music
eat
is too
14
antique,
apples,
of course.
some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
Beautiful fate. Grander than any of the Patriarch's dreary banquets.
A familiar sight. Scratch can't quite speak around the thing he has in his mouth.
I found this. It smelled like you, so I kept it. Seemed like something you might like to throw. Oh, I've been so good. I've got a nice home in the city now. A girl named Mindy says I'm her best friend. She's mine too. Also you and Albert. I've got so many best friends, I hardly know who to play with. I certainly have, and I always will. Forever, I think. And so will you.
Here, Boo. Store some in your cheeks. Better than Zentish prison fare, is it not?
Go on, talk to the others. We have forever after all.
A night without care. No worry, no obligation. It's been too long.
we go?
This one night is like any other, and yet different. Thou art the savior of Baldur's Gate, until such time it requires saving again. How dost thou feel? I am pleased to hear it. The satisfaction of one's intention is, to my surprise, a rare accomplishment. Enjoy the revelry of the day. Thou deservest at least that much. What indeed? Prick up thy ears and listen. The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. Thou played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready, for thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you. The dead three. Thy faces, gods, thy actions barely worthy of the name. Didst truly believe thy ploy would succeed? Didst believe I would not notice? Thou sought to bolster thy strength by taking away the souls of mortals. But souls vanish when their hosts become mind flayers. Didst think the other gods would not notice? Gods thou may be, yet thou hast proven thyself fools, everyone. The supplication of Bane, the whimper of Baal, the death mule of Merkel. Felled by mortals, I overestimated thee. They did not. Vermin, away. Thou wilt trouble us no more.